Okay, so this is one of the question from the group. Scotty says that YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram are the most important platforms, but those platforms just don't work. Is there any alternatives?
There's alternatives, sure, but are they going to be as effective? No, I don't think so, because this is where the people are.
Yeah, so my kind of take on that is to say the platforms don't work is the same as saying fitness doesn't work, right? If there's a lot of fitness gurus out there, whatever you want to call them, and, they're teaching how to lose weight, this, that, and whatever. At the end of the day, the fundamental system works. You have to work out, you have to eat well, period, end of story. But then someone might go in there and do that, and they don't lose a bunch of weight, or they don't get in shape, or and they're like, oh, well, fitness doesn't work. It's not the fact that fitness doesn't work. It's just the fact that you haven't mastered those fundamentals, or you haven't, whatever mechanism that you're using to deploy your strategy inside of fitness doesn't work for you. But that's not to say that, fitness in general doesn't work, which obviously we've seen this. I mean, YouTube works, TikTok works, Instagram works. We see people getting millions of views on those platforms every single day. So the platforms do in fact work. Maybe they don't work for you because whatever, micro strategy or whatever content formula, the particular way that you're doing it doesn't work for, whatever that reason might be. But I think because this actually happens a lot with people that come into the group and, they start going down the right path and they're doing everything right. But then what happens is, like anything worth doing, it becomes hard, it becomes difficult, it's a grind, and they start thinking, there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be, and just like the fitness industry, there's going to be some guru or somebody out there saying, oh yeah, try this magic weight loss pill, try this little diet pill, try this shake, smoothie, whatever. And so, that's exactly what happens in the OnlyFans industry is people know what works. It's, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, yes, they work. But then when you do it and it doesn't work in whatever time period or expectation that you think it should work for you and it doesn't, then you start thinking, oh, well, the grass is greener over here. Let me try this. Let me try that. And you end up running around in circles for, months or years trying to find something that's easier and faster, when in reality, if you just would have really kind of stuck to the fundamentals.
Even for me, I struggle with this because I just have the patience of a fucking 2-year-old. It is like anything else that is worth the grind.
By the way, if you want to join us in the OnlyFans Level Up community, that is where I share all of my best secrets and strategies for OnlyFans creators, many of which are hitting really big numbers, as you may have seen from various guests on this podcast. But either way, it's a great place to be if you want to network or learn all of the best secrets and strategies to grow your OnlyFans account. You can find all of that information with the link down in the description below. But for now, back to the podcast.
Fitness is kind of a boring analogy to give, but it really is true, because I used to be severely overweight. It was years of dedication and eating different food than everyone else and staying dedicated to the task at hand. And then there's long periods where you feel like nothing's happening, but it's all worth it.
Yeah, and so we have this discussion just between us, all right, here's the path, just stay on this path, and you're like, well, it's not, I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm like,
well, there's a couple things, and I'm sure a lot of you can identify with this. There's 3 things that happen that make me just want to throw my fucking head through the wall. 1, I get bored of doing the same things, and that's kind of my fault. I could be more creative, but that's something I struggle with. So it's boring and just kind of mundane and repetitive. You look at other people who are being successful doing this little thing, and then you try to do it and it doesn't work. And then you're like, she's doing it and it works for her. Okay, babe, it doesn't work for you. Just go back to what works, or, try something new, but don't stop making content. Consistency is answer number one.
Well, it's that. And it's just like, because a lot of times when I get messages from people like, oh, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. And then I look at their account and they've got, 150 videos literally doing the same style of content that doesn't work because of kind of like what you just said. Oh, well, it works for this other girl. So they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that doesn't mean that TikTok itself doesn't work. It just means that that particular style of content that you're creating doesn't work for you. So yes, continue posting on the platform, but you have to sort of experiment, find your style, your particular content formula, because this is something that we talk about on the pod with a lot of the previous guests. Like almost nobody can have success doing the same thing as the next person. Like every single person that's been on this podcast that's getting really good results, and then somebody looks at them and tries to go do the same exact thing and it just doesn't work for them. So every single person has like some little unique style of content that works for them specifically and doesn't really work for that many other people or very few other people. So you just want to keep experimenting because there is some style out there. There is some little movement, some little style, some little way of doing things that it will work for you, but you have to constantly kind of be testing different content formulas, different content styles, different, ways of doing it. Until you ultimately come across a certain little style or certain little way of doing things that's gonna work for you specifically.
Well, and also doing X type of content on TikTok may not work great, but it might pop off on Instagram. So that's something that I try to keep in mind too. Like, don't just try something once and kind of, if it doesn't work, throw it out. Like, try it on the other platforms and try it a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just a giant experiment. You want to take, 10 or 20 different content formulas, content styles, and you want to just, try them all out and kind of figure out what works for you specifically. Oh, maybe if I match this person's style with that person's style and I do something kind of in between, it's just taking a lot of different ingredients until ultimately you find that kind of winning formula that works for you.
Say that to me on the wrong day, though. That's funny. Like, you keep saying it's just a winning formula. Like, okay, I'm not a fucking scientist. I don't want to play formulas. Okay. Like, what's the answer?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that.